Cross and all, welcome back to the latest episode of Fears and Devotion with me, Tim. I'm joined by Liam. There is no Andy and there's no Reese. Reese is he still in France? I want to say he might
He's
be
an
in France
international
today.
man of mysteries,
He is.
wherever the world takes him, wherever the wind takes him.
Yeah. Mr. Gilpin is travelling up ahead of the live night tomorrow because we're recording this on Wednesday, ahead of our next live night at the Mice Gwyn. Please do go and grab a ticket if you haven't done so already. There's a few left. Very, very big emphasis on the few. As always, sponsored by the Fat Boar, this pod. International break is over, Liam. Is that music to your ears? Are you delighted with that?
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones where, so when I look at it, I'll always want Wales to do well, I like supporting them and stuff, but it's just something about I just find it as hard to get into it. And I think it's just because of like sometimes the quality that you see and things like. I mean, I say that, but that's a bit hypocritical because I used to watch Wrexham in the National League, so I can't really claim to be a football purist. But there's just something I find a bit more hard to get into. I know you're probably more the opposite to me, but yeah, it's
Well, you say that, but I've come out of that international break a little bit jaded, if I'm honest.
yeah,
Like 3 days off, taken off work to get pumped twice, once by the old enemy, and then Belgium, which was just a weird one. And then, on top of that is the expense of it all. And yeah, I don't know. I still enjoyed it, but maybe not as much as I previously done. I don't know why it was or why it is, but yeah, strange. But it was nice to see the Wrexham connection at least
yeah.
putting a some semblance of respectability on the scoreline against Belgium. Well, I mean, give a shade of it. Got us kind of back into it very, very momentarily before they go and scored a fourth. But I think was it you that said? I think you tweeted about it about getting both of those on the pitch at the same time. That would be the ideal scenario going forward.
Yeah, I think so because I mean, not only for Wales, but they've also played together at Ipswich, so they clearly have an understanding together. And I just like the way that Broadhead seems to get in and about where Moore is, whereas some of our other players don't get close enough to him for my liking. Broadhead's there anticipating that Moore's going to win the ball because 9 times out of 10 he does, and then picks it up off him, and the rest is he makes it look easy, Broadhead. So yeah, I don't know what you think, but I just like to try and find a way that we can just. I don't know if it's because of the fitness, earlier in the season, or what it is that he's not starting. But I've seen enough to know that he's got a quality finish on him. So yeah, I'd just be interested to see how we can fit him in, really.
Yeah, I want to see him start more. I think just to cheer him up. I get annoyed by players who seem grumpy when they score, or it just feels like there's a massive chip on the shoulder. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're angry when you score, like there's been some angry goal scorers in the past. I can't think of any right at the top of my head.
Sam Smith and the corner flag.
Yeah, I mean, but that just like elicits like energy, emotion, and
Yeah,
everything. But like with Nathan Broad, it just looks like he's always on the verge of tears. And I don't know if
yeah.
that's tears of sadness, tears of anger. I just don't know. It's a hard one to read.
Needs to
Maybe
find
he's
his
good.
happy spot.
Yeah, he's rivaling Max Kluwer for the person who's never likely to grow facial hair in that Wrexham camp. I can't imagine. Like to this day, I keep looking. I don't know why I keep looking. I'm not purposely looking to see if Max Kluwer has grown facial hair, but he still never ages. He's literally the Benjamin Button of that squad.
Are you
Never.
greeting him? I've got pictures now of you greeting him outside the player's entrance with a magnifying glass, like, any growth yet,
It's
Max?
like a joke moustache. You just clip that onto your nose. He looked like some sort of, I don't know what he looked like. What would he look like? Anybody who's minusculely technically gifted, stick a moustache on Max Kluivert and let us know what it looks like. I imagine it'd be like a little spy, wouldn't he? Some sort of little French spy or
I
something like
just
that.
can't picture it. It just seems unnatural.
No. Anyway, we're going to look ahead to Stoke shortly. We're going to be joined by Lucas Yeomans from BBC Radio Stoke to discuss all that is potteries ahead of Wrexham's visit there. Have you been there before, Liam? I've been there a few times, a long time ago, but I've been.
I've only been the once for the FA Cup fixture, which I think, as most people will remember, was
Hmm.
felt like one of the coldest days ever. Probably on par. Do you think it was as cold as Grimsby that day? You had all
I
the
mean, it
fog
was
on.
cold. I still can't believe that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, that is bonkers. It's one of those stadiums though where I mean, I don't think it's aged as perhaps as well, but I remember being a bit jealous of it when it was first built. Was it sort of early 2000s? That was around the time we were still in the same league as them, and yeah, and I don't. From having been to it though, I wasn't as impressed, shall we say?
Yeah, I always thought like whatever what's it called now? It used to be Britannia Stadium. Is it now Bet365
Yeah,
Stadium? Whatever it is. I always thought it was one of the coldest grounds I've ever been to because it's quite high up. You kind of come off the dual carriageway and it's there kind of stuck up. You can't really miss it. But because the corners aren't filled in, it's just open to the elements and that wind doesn't half sweep through there. It's just yeah, it's just it goes back to that classic case. It isn't just about the Tony Pulis kind of thuggery and hoofball of years gone by with that coin that whole term. Can they do it on a cold Tuesday night at Stoke? I genuinely think it's because it's always cold. Doesn't matter
yeah,
what day it is or what part of the year. It's just always cold there. But we need a result and we need a positive one against Stoke because the last 7 times we've played them, we've lost them all in every competition. So you
wow.
have to go back to 1999 when we last won there. And Mark McGregor even scored a little cheeky lob in that game.
Blimey,
Crazy.
whenever he didn't really score like tap-ins, did he, Mark McGregor?
I mean, everybody knows that remembers the Gillingham one. The one that
Yeah,
he just literally, and to the, I don't think if I've ever recall ever talking to him about it. He'd probably just laugh it off now, pass it off as not much. But for a defender to hit that ball the way he did, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Almost certainly it is. But that is a definitive thunder bastard. I think reminds me of Jay Harris hit one. I think was it Reece Hall Johnson that hit one at Notts County a few years ago?
yeah,
Same kind
yeah.
of vibe. That whole stick your sort of feet through it and hope for the best, really. So yeah,
Right,
there we are.
we have our guest
It's
Lucas
here.
in the waiting room, so we shall admit him now. Here we go.
It was good time filling now. It's good. We filled the time well there. Good
Proud of
one.
us.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. It's almost seamless. Almost seamless.
Here we go.
Hi, Lucas. How are you? Oh, you're on mute.
Uh, I did press
Textbook
it.
error from
I
a
did
radio
press it.
man.
I know,
No.
shocking. No, I'm all right. How are you guys? You okay?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. How are things down that neck of the woods?
Apprehensive. Apprehensive.
Really?
Why? Why? Let's dive straight in. Why apprehensive first of all, foremost?
Um, because it was a really, really good start. It was a
Yeah.
really good start. And then it's not been a bad run in terms of performances, but the truth of the matter is they've got one. What is that now? That is one
A lot of
win.
draws, isn't it?
Oh yeah, one win in the last five from in between international
Mm.
breaks, sort of bookending it. A lot of draws. You're right. They've they
Like us,
seem
really. We had the
well.
three before
Yeah,
the international break, so
yeah, yeah. I think the thing with Stoke and Wrexham is I think we maybe had this chat ourselves as well, Tim, is that Stoke seem to be quite good at keeping themselves tight at the back and not conceding many, but they're struggling to score. Whereas I think Wrexham is more a case of they can score a lot, they concede a lot too. But Stoke have got the joint best defensive record alongside Middlesbrough, who, of course, until the weekend just gone, were the pace setters. So it's a bit of a strange one, really, because I don't think we're too sure now what level Stoke are. They've had a
right.
really good run at it. And then it just seems like lately, performances have been really good. They create a lot of chances. They'll go for it. They just can't seem to get their head in the game for that final third, like inside the opposition's penalty boxes, where they just sort of are unable to finish things off.
Who's the strikers that are misfiring at the moment, and should we be wary, or should will changes likely to be made for this game?
I would still suspect that Divine Mubama will start. He's been the striker. He's a Man City academy player that's on loan at the moment. He was at West Ham before, so he's from West Ham's academy originally. He played for West Ham, when they got into the Europa Conference League, and obviously they went on to win it. I think he even scored for them in that run of games as well. He then went to City, played more so for City's academy side and reserve side and on 21 side, and then this is his first senior loan, and he scored in his opening 2 games. Scored against Derby, scored against Sheffield Wednesday. Hasn't scored since, but he's lively. He's involved in the build-up. He's a handful. He just needs to get his scoring boots back on because he's a quality player. He's really good, and Wrexham fans will be hoping that he doesn't find his scoring boots because I do think that when he does and he's got his confidence back, I think he'll be straight back in the goals again. I just think I think he's had a few games without scoring and he's young. He's so young,
Mm.
and I think he's just dying now to get that goal, and perhaps he's overthinking a little bit and trying a little bit too hard to create that chance for himself. He's got a very, very good relationship with Sorba Thomas, both on and off the pitch, who, of course, is a Welsh international, so you'll know well, who has been the star player. And
Yeah.
Sorba Thomas is the main goal threat. He's also the main creative threat, but he can't do everything. So he's creating these chances, but they're not quite going just yet.
Has the Sorba Thomas thing kind of surprised you? I mean, when he first signed it, in my head, I'd imagine, did it feel like an underwhelming signing? And if that's the case, has he proved, is he at least starting to prove everybody wrong?
The headline that a guy that couldn't get a game for Huddersfield Town, who have been in League One, was a bit underwhelming. And then you did your digging, and you sort of realised that he was such an integral part of the Huddersfield Town side that got to the playoffs under Carlos Corberán, and I think it was Nottingham Forest that knocked them out. And then you see what he'd been doing for Wales, and you'd seen that basically he looked a little bit stuck in the mud. And everyone that we'd spoken to, his former coaches, people that had watched him play, people that were fans of Huddersfield, were like, he's just a little bit stuck. Like he doesn't seem to really have anyone rooting for him right now, and that's probably what he needs. And in fact, I spoke to a
Mm.
Welsh fan who said he just needs someone to believe in him, a little bit like what Craig Bellamy's done for the Welsh side. And he's got that with Paul Nevin. He knows James Rowberry, the other assistant coach, and then Mark Robbins is one of the best man managers I've ever come across and I've ever heard about. And I think he's just got Silver Thomas believing in himself, just that right amount. Because Silver Thomas is always talking about as well, like, I want to be humble. I'm a humble guy. He says that in a lot of his post conferences. So I think Silver Thomas has kind of found that key now of confidence, but not straight into overconfidence. And he's been unreal. He's been so good. And like the eye test says everything, doesn't it? And you're watching this guy take on players. He's
Mm.
electric. He creates goals. He scores goals. He's so fun to watch, and any Stoke City fan will tell you he's exactly what Stoke City fans want to see in their winger, the direct winger that isn't afraid to take anyone on. And he's been class. He's been so good.
What's the expectation of Stoke fans been going into this season?
It's changed. It's changed because they were I think optimistic for a top half finish at the start of the season. They haven't finished in above 14th since they got relegated from the Premier League when Mark Hughes was in charge and then Paul Lambert took over. So the expectation's been there, but as the years have gone by, Stoke fans have gone, we are what we are, you know. And there's been that little bit of hope, and new managers have come in, new players have come in, and there's been like this never-ending cycle for Stoke City. It is almost like a little bit of okay, we're excited. Okay, first few games look okay. New signings look good. Things start to tail off. Price of the manager. Manager goes. Bringing a new exciting manager. Promising signs. Okay, let's go to pre-season. Pre-season, things look okay. New signings, and then the cycle repeats itself. But I think with Mark Robbins, you believe in what he's saying more than I think anyone else. And so he was saying all the right things as the season wrapped up. I think he's the right amount of dishing it out to his players in post-match press conferences, pre-match press conferences when he needs to, and the right amount of sort of the balance of that have protected his players as well. So he says the right things, and you're starting to think that he does have this aura about him that I don't think any other manager at Stoke has really given off. So there was a belief that maybe Stoke could do something. And then the early preseason performance is really, really good. The sounds really good, but everyone just knows that Stoke City can show you something and then not deliver. But then They had two pre-season games against Premier League sides before the season kicked off against Derby, and they looked incredible. Like they looked really good. They looked confident. They were a handful. It was Wolves and Burnley, who, okay, admittedly, are probably two of the weakest sides in the Premier League this year. But still, like Stoke, they beat one of them. They drew against Wolves and they beat Burnley, and they just looked really confident. And then it goes into the Derby game, and it's the first game of the season. It's at home, big crowd, and they just blew Derby away. They blew Derby fans away. Derby fans are sort of a little bit like, hang on a second, we thought we were the ones that were confident because Derby's made those a great signings as well. And that has continued. As I said, the goals have dried up, but the relentlessness has carried on. So what happened now, to answer your question, Liam, is that Stoke fans' expectations have gone, well, we've not been out of the playoffs since we've gone up since the season started. They've been second for a large chunk, and those draws have just dropped them down to fifth now. But they're in and amongst it, similar points total to Middlesbrough and Coventry, who are the two teams that everyone's obviously talking about. And all the performances at the bar, I want to say QPR away and Blackburn's second half was disappointing as well. But bar that, they've looked really good. They should have beat Norwich. Second half against Middlesbrough, they should have beat them, and then Blackburn the first half they should have beat them, and then they just tailed off. It was exhaustion. I don't know, but I think what's been really exciting about Stoke is that by now we're probably going, all right, yeah, it'll be mid-table's fine, and I think Stoke fans would, which is a good thing. They'd see mid-table as a bit of a disappointment now, which is good, but I think it's I think the management team is still really key on like let's keep things going. Mark Robbins likes the term incremental changes and success. Just don't get too ahead of yourselves right now. But for Stoke fans, it's been great because it's the first time they can actually see on the pitch a team that looks like they can win, or at least can be in most games most times.
Yeah, you mentioned the defensive side of things being quite key to that. One player we were linked with in the summer that then went to Stoke was Aaron Cresswell. Has he featured much?
He's been involved in every single game bar one, but ironically bar the Middlesbrough game, but that was because it was the first of a 3 game week, so midweek game. Let's just rest him. But he has been incredible. I actually interviewed him this week as well, and he's such a top bloke. He's a very down to earth guy. He's just got this calmness that I think it's been really key to Stoke's success in defence. It's quite a young back line. Ben Wilmot's probably the next oldest, and he's only in his mid-20s. Boast in the Walls, 22. Junior Shamadou's about 21, 22. So that back four is really quite young, and you'd say inexperienced, but they've got this calmness about them. And I think Aaron Cresswell is the epitome of that as well. He's been a really he's been exactly what you think you'd get from a man that's played over a decade of Premier League football consistently as well. One thing that stood out to me when he first started was that his injury record's amazing, and he's exactly what Stoke fans have needed in terms of they keep signing these players from that have played the Premier League for some years, but you can just see with their injury record, it's sort of their involvement in games is declining. Not Aaron Cresswell, and he's assured, he's just confident. He can get the ball forward, but that's not really been his job this time. He's sort of been he's been able to sort of operate those sort of diagonal balls, and um, you could see why he'd be operating as like a left centre back, but he's been used as a left back, and he's been the most conventional left back you could ever see. Um, yeah, I think you guys missed out on one there. He's excellent.
Yeah.
It just his mentality, I would say, as well as his clear technical ability. But he's obviously not got the legs he had when he was 10 years younger. But he's so assured and calm, and I think he's exactly what that young dressing room needed.
Yeah, I think he is one I look at because we sort of look at our left wing back position at the moment as one that's not a major problem, but if you could improve somewhere at the moment, that's certainly an area. You mentioned some of the key players, Sorba Thomas, etc. Are there any other players that you think Wrexham fans really need to look out for on Saturday?
I would have loved to have said Boast on the wall, but he's injured, and so lucky for you guys, he won't be involved now until sort of November time. He'll be one to look out for in the reverse fixture if he picks up where he left off, because he was incredible, and he was a player that came in last year that barely featured, had a back injury, and then we weren't sure if he's meant to be a midfielder. He's tried a striker for some parts of last season, and then he comes in, starts every game as centre back, and then gets that injury against Middlesbrough. So firstly, be glad that he isn't involved. Million man off on the right, so the opposite flank to Sorba Thomas is a threat. They are the most
Right.
likely to cause problems. And if he said that left wing back isn't the strongest position, he will look to cause havoc there. I can't remember the name of the Birmingham left back when Birmingham played. Stoke were immense against Birmingham. And at that time, I think people were still sort of unsure of what Birmingham would be a team. Obviously, you guys will know really well. But their left back was tormented by Million Manov. So if your left side of defence isn't up for it on the day, Million Manov will have a field day. Thomas Rigo is another player you want to look out for. He's Stoke's number 19. He's a Slovakian international, and he is someone that people have very quickly fallen in love with. He was one of the last signings of the window. I think he may have been the last signing of the window actually for Stoke. He replaced Stoke's key player Wouter Berger, who left to join Hoffenheim in the summer. But Thomas Rigo, like he runs around, like he is one of those players that's just really busy, especially in the opposition's half, and he sort of he's excellent defensively. That's not his main job. His main job is to be that extra man going forward and to cause havoc. And as I say, if Stoke are on the front foot, he'll be the person that initiates that movement. So I'd look out for Thomas Rigo. I'd be wary of Million Manhuff as well. Divine Mubama, if he gets his scoring boots, he will just be a handful for your centre backs. Um, and well, Junior Shamadu is a wind-up merchant. He's a brilliant right back as well. Everyone in Stoke's team right now has got a reason to be praised, but I think the headline grabbers are those three: Sorba Thomas, Thomas Rigo, Million Manoff.
Victor Johansson's good though. I'm a big fan of him. Big fan of your goalkeeper. He's Swedish international, isn't he?
Yeah. He's had a bad run of late with Sweden's woes in the World
Yeah,
Cup
well,
qualifying.
just sacked John Dal Thomason, haven't they? I think he's
Yeah.
been fired.
He hasn't. Weirdly, that was his first run of games with Victor Johansson for Sweden as well. Like it was, is it Rob Olsen, who's the Aston Villa backup goalkeeper or was formerly, was their number one keeper, and I think too late for him now. But you say Thomason saw sense and finally put Victor Johansson in net. But he was immense last year. He was Stokes Player of the Season, and he was
Uh-huh.
immense. I haven't needed him as much this year, so he's not. I did think about mentioning him then. I thought, well, he's not been relied on. When necessary, he's been there, which is really good because
Hmm.
last season under Narcis Palak, with the way that he set up, he did a more of a zonal marking thing, which just allowed shots from everywhere. And so Victor Johansson's bam, 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 every 5 minutes having to save Stoke and their defenders. Um, he was relied less in the second half of the season, but was still there when needed. And again, Southampton, Birmingham are two examples. QPR, he was really important in terms of chances will happen against Stoke City,
Hmm.
and he is a reason why they probably have that joint best defensive record still as well because there have been moments where opposition players have snuck through, and he's just been there, which I think is really impressive because he's not been needed as much. So you'd argue that he wouldn't be as alert, but he has been, and yeah, hopefully he's on his A game. He is sometimes susceptible to a bit of a howler, like he had against West Brom, but you allow it because 99 other times out of 100 he's immense and he makes these fantastic saves and pulls off these ridiculous saves. He's sublime.
I noticed. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, including Mark Robbins as it stands, but Stoke seem to change their managers like the wind, like every year, or have done for the past 4 or 5 years, maybe a bit longer. I presume that is a byproduct of the 10 years in the Premier League and dropping out 2018, I
hmm
think around that time.
hmm
Will do you think he'll get time to build something there? Pretty in a similar vein of what he did at Coventry. Obviously we're no strangers to them when we beat them in the cup there, but I like the way he tries to set his teams up. And it's not really they're not a boring side, not mundane. They want to play the game in the right manner. Obviously that comes with an element of risk, no doubt, in this division, but will he be given the time there? I'm not sure. I can't, I'm not sure what the kind of ownership setup is there now. Forgive me. You'll have to give me a brief into that.
Yeah, well, John Coates is the now chair, sole chair of the football club. and his dad was the owner for years and years and years. His
Peter,
dad sort of
Peter, yeah, Peter
Peter
son.
Coates, yeah.
Yeah.
He sort of gave full control to John. I want to say sort of early years of being back in the championship, and so I'm going to say this isn't a popular opinion with Stoke fans, but I'm going to say John Coates has been sort of unfairly um, sort of plastered with the blame for how Stoke City have done. And now look, he has to take some blame for it, and I think he does take some blame for it. With I would say putting the trust in the wrong person. One thing you'll say about John Coates is he's loyal sometimes to a fault, but he's loyal to you and until he physically can't anymore, until it's proof that it's never going to get better. So an example of that would probably be Alex Neil and Ricky Martin. He brought Alex Neil in first. He really wanted Alex Neil. Alex Neil then brings in Ricky Martin as his technical director, which when does that happen? The manager bringing in a higher up. And unfortunately, they were just sort of gave the toy box to play with and probably set Stoke back due to FFP another 3 years in which because Stoke's FFP cycle will reset again in after their big splurge nearly 3 years ago next summer. So John Coates' problem is he's put too much faith in the wrong people, and he has uh, publicly, openly, even to myself. On the record, put his faith in Mark Robbins, but I think he knows that he can. One thing that Mark Robbins has done really well is that he's just settled things a little bit within the training ground. I think because of all of the ins and outs and the mayhem and the wrong people sort of taking on the responsibility and the jobs, I think what happened was it just became a little bit chaotic. So he brought in John Walters, who had a rocky start, but again,
Boo,
no, yeah,
boo.
yeah, I should have known. I should have thought. But John Walters comes in and he has a rocky start to his time because I think he wanted to change things. He sacked a popular manager in Steven Schumacher, brought in Narcis Palak, who was a complete and utter unknown, and that didn't work. And I think John sort of well, again, openly admit that he learned from his mistakes, but made some good changes. I know internally at the football club made some great changes, and this is a really roundabout way of saying that once they brought in Mark Robbins, I think what they've got now is a structure in place. I think they've got a calming structure. I can't emphasize how important it is to be calm. And when in a club like Stoke where the spotlight is on you, I compare it almost to like Manchester United in the Premier League, and Manchester United are an absolute basket case with this pressure to be successful on a much larger scale, by the way. But everyone in the Championship goes, Stoke got all this money. They've been in the Premier League for years, successful. Why are they not doing well? And national media, when they talk about Championship teams, will talk about Stoke City. Fans will want to go, why are we not doing well? So there was this pressure to just keep churning out and churning out and churning out. And I think fans have got fed up of sort of sacking people, which is good. But I think with those things in mind, with the calmness that Mark Robbins and John Walter brought in to fans and in terms of inside the training ground, and then fans sort of were going, well, we have to stick with someone at some point, and this has looked like the best thing to back in a long time. So as a result of that, I think he will be given time. The only reason he won't be given time is if again Stoke find themselves in a relegation battle, which touch wood in front of me for the first time doesn't look like it's realistic. I think they're looking upwards, not downwards, for the first time in a long time. But that is Stoke would have to have the almightiest of fall-offs, I think, for Mark Robbins to lose his job, at
Mm.
least until the summer, because I think there's a lot of belief that he will be the catalyst in seeing Stoke go up, not down.
I mean, bringing it on home to Saturday's game. What have you made of Wrexham in terms of start to the season? Obviously, everything else the 3 years before that has been literally well documented. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you just want to chuck that rock at the media to basically say stop talking about them. There are other clubs in the pyramid, not just one. So what have you made of it all? And is there optimism there? Because like I said before, we're just like, oh, it's great to be at this level because the quality is by far and away miles, miles better than what we've ever been used to. Even even the defeats have been kind of enjoyable because of the high quality of what we're seeing. So, there's no secret where the owners want to take us. Um, Stoke did it and did 10 years. I mean, is it, it's not pipe dream, is it, Lucas? Tell us it's not.
I really back Wrexham. I have to say, I didn't think that you'd have the season that you've had previously in other seasons, like when you've been straight up from League Two, straight up from League One at Radio Stoke, where I work. We cover Crewe and Vale as well, so we've
Mhm.
had a close eye on Wrexham and sort of how they've got on because the sides have met a couple of times. And but I was really glad, genuinely really glad to see Wrexham sort of get over the line and secure the automatic spot last season and come up. And I think the signings have been I think they've been really good. Well, having not watched Wrexham every week, but I think someone like Ben Chief, when I saw that he'd arrived, and I don't know how well he's played, but I was like, wow, that's a brilliant signing because he was linked with Premier League clubs not that long ago. Um, and there's a real excitement about having Wrexham because of I think because people online will tell you that people don't like Wrexham now because of the Hollywood cash and the money, but I think you guys know as well. There's an enjoyment about seeing Wrexham do well because everyone's watched at least the first two seasons of the documentary, and I think you look at and one thing that Ryan and Rob did really well was showing the people of Wrexham, like the fans and the culture. And so if you work in football, you know it is all about the people, and it's like it's what makes a town tick. It's what makes people's weekends. And so from that moment on, I was like, well, I want to see him do well because it's so nice. Some of the stories and it makes you sort of look at other smaller clubs around here in Stoke and go, I imagine if that ever happened to them. Obviously, not including Stoke City in that. And it's quite fun to see. I thought that things were a bit more dour about Wrexham's start to the season until I spoke to you, Tim, and then you sort of enlightened me on and then I looked back and I thought, do you know what? Fair enough, because it's because of the money spent and because of the eyes on Wrexham. I think people thought they've got to be
Yeah,
right at the top. I wouldn't say that Wrexham right now are underachieving. Like you said, the quality difference in the Championship compared to League One and League Two is vast. There's a reason Birmingham absolutely waltzed it last year, and there's a reason why Birmingham aren't waltzing it this year, like everyone said they were going to. It is teams are a bit more tactically astute. The players are better. Games are tighter. It's very rare that you see teams get like that Coventry QPR score a few
yeah.
weeks ago. I mean, look, QPR are in the playoffs right now, and they lost 7-1. Those scorelines rarely happen. It isn't. It's very rare that teams get absolutely thumped. They're always quite low scoring or tight games, and that makes it fun. It's very rare that you see a proper thrashing. Um, and so I think that it's a case of building a squad, and I don't think it'd be the end of the world if Wrexham were sort of had to using that word that Mark Robbins used, incrementally build a squad up a little bit. But I
Mm.
think one thing that Wrexham have done really well, I thought, was I looked at the squad when you got promoted, and I was like, that is a lot of League One, League Two, dare I say it, National League players in there. And I think the clean out's been really impressive, and that is going to take time as well. I mean, I can't remember the number of how many players that Wrexham have brought in, but it's a lot. So I don't look at this weekend's game, for example, and go, well, that's a must win. That's 3 points. You can't lose that game because for me, it feels like Wrexham were just they're just taking their time and they're gonna be a tricky opposition for a lot of teams. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued as to watching a full 90 minutes of Wrexham this weekend.
Lucas, I'm always intrigued just to ask people for fans who are going away, is there anything that Wrexham fans should do while they're up that neck of the woods on Saturday? Any places they should go? Any
I'm
oat
gonna,
cakes? Any
I'm
oat
gonna,
cakes we should eat?
Well, that's about it. It's about it. I
I'm,
think I
I'm,
was.
I'm off to visit Lemmy's statue. but I think that's in Burslem, isn't it? Which is close to
That's,
Port Vale.
I was going to say, yeah, that
Yeah.
might have been one for if you had a Vale away day, that one. Yeah, well, if you get in the train up, it is, it's a short taxi drive away. How do I am from Stoke. I'm so proud of saying I'm from Stoke, but when I say that, I can also there's not a lot to do. There really isn't. Bless it. It's trying, but the town centre's not got much going for it. Um, there are a couple of nice little bars and restaurant, but none really for football. I think most away fans go to the Harvester just down the road from the
Oh yeah.
Bet365 stadium. So, like I can't go on this podcast and recommend the Harvester to you boys. I can't. Um, Trentham Gardens is a nice day out, but it depends on what sort of away day you're after. Because again, I wouldn't. I think Trentham Gardens would come and complain to me if I'd told a load of football fans to go and
Coach
invade
load of Wrexham.
what is normally a place for families and elderly people. So look, if you fancy that in Stoke, they've got Alton Towers and they've got
Look at you
Trentham
manifesting.
Gardens.
You're manifesting your own headlines for the radio.
I
I see what you're doing there.
know.
The shambolic effort,
We've
that.
got to find news somewhere. Um, just go to the game. It's they've got a fan zone there, which they've just built. It was opened last season. That's quite a good vibe. And Stoke fans are a friendly bunch. You know, if you get talking to them about the football club, they'll get talking to you about yours. They're a class group, Stoke
Well,
fans.
we'll
So
just talk to him about Dennis Smith. You know,
what
it's always a good one, isn't it?
what a
Rather
legend.
instead of Mark
Love that
Cartwright
man.
or John Walters, boo. Definitely Dennis Smith. If you're wondering why I'm booing John Walters for anybody who doesn't know, um, he played for us for a bit. Then he went to Chester. Then he refused actually to pick up Dennis Smith's uh, attempted phone calls to get him to sign an extended deal. He just refused to pick up Dennis Smith's phone calls, which is sacrilege and unforgivable. And look, John Walters went on to have a very good career. There's no doubt about it for Republic and in the top flight. You know, he was at Ipswich for a while, wasn't he? So
He was, yeah, yeah.
just comes across as really arrogant. That's all I'm going to say. Leave it
He
there.
he divides opinions. I will say, I mean, I know both John and Dennis quite well, so I feel very lucky to know both of them. I know that John is a bit more of the people. Roy Keane being one of them is not keen on him. But look, he's got Stoke ticking internally, and I know a lot of people love working with him. So I'll defend John there, but Dennis is one we can definitely talk about because he's just stopped doing games for us actually now on Radio Stoke, which is gutting because he is the best man to have on away trips. Like you can imagine the stories that I've heard from Dennis
Please
Smith.
tell us. Please
Uh,
tell us a few.
I
Come
don't. I
on.
mean, I don't know if I can. I don't know which ones are
You
allowed and
can.
which ones aren't allowed.
He's not going to be on the radio with you anymore. It doesn't matter. Tell
Yeah,
us.
yeah. I'd like to keep the friendship if I can, just as I'm friends with Dennis Smith. But he's like for anyone that any people that younger listeners that don't know about his time at the club or paid much attention to it. I know that he's loved everywhere. Like you take
Mm.
Dennis Smith, I'll tell one I took Dennis Smith to Sunderland, which is one of his former clubs that he managed that as well, and he was a co-commentator. And I wish I could take Dennis Smith to Sunderland every time now because the red carpet was rolled out. There was people
Right.
that were still at the club that were working there when he was manager, and they made sure they had the best seat, the best care, the lift access. We got a trip into the commercial lounges afterwards, and we got VIP 5-star treatment. So yeah, and that was 30 years after he'd been in charge, maybe longer than that. So. Yeah, the name Dennis Smith gets you into places, especially like Sunderland. He's such a top man, such a top man.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Such a great guy. Great. The book's good as well. You know,
Yeah,
his
yes, it
autobiography is
is.
solid. Just a nice, gentle giant, but tells you how you need to be told it. And
Mm,
he came to Wrexham in a weird time and got us some right memories. LDV Vans Trophy, 2005. How's that 20 years ago? It's
I know,
crazy.
I know.
What's going on?
Getting ancient, aren't we?
Right. Are we in? I think we're in prediction territory. Are we, Liam? We got anything
Yeah.
else?
No,
I
no.
think yeah, go on Lucas as a guest. You can go with the first of the predictions for Saturday's blockbuster at the
Mm,
Bet365 as it's been billed, obviously.
Did you say 2-1 when you came on with me, Tim? You did,
I
didn't
said
you?
2-all. I said two
Oh, I thought
all.
you said 2-1. Right, okay. I
Yeah,
was going
two
to
all.
say 2-1.
I just think, both sides are going into this off the back of three draws each. It's
Mm.
just almost set up to be a fourth draw each, in it. I don't know. I think Stoke has scored 6 goals in 4 home games, which is probably isn't enough to get you out of sight, as you alluded to at the start of this pod. But yeah, you've got me there first. So two each was mine. I'm still sticking with that.
Okay. All right. Well, and you've talked me into a draw in the fact that I think you're right. I think no, you haven't. I'm sticking with 2-1. No, I'm going to stick with 2-1. I think I can't see Stoke conceding more than one goal. They haven't yet. Them and Arsenal, the only two teams in the top four divisions that have not conceded more than a goal in a game. Um, so I'm gonna go 2-1. 1-1 wouldn't surprise me, but I'm just hoping that Divine Mubama finds his scoring boots. So I'm gonna say 2-1 Stoke, but I don't. I've no way at all. Do I think it's going to be an easy game?
I reckon you've channeled your inner Dennis Smith there by not sitting on
Yes.
the fence and just
Yeah.
going, right, we're going to get a decision.
I
So this
felt
is
him
it.
calling me.
Ooh,
Liam,
this is a tough one because my temptation would be to say 1-all, but surely we can't have a fourth 1-all in a row. I really hope we don't. Uh, I'm gonna go for a cheeky 1-0 to Wrexham, but hanging on by the skin of our teeth. I think I'll go for optimistic.
either way, tight games. So
Mhm.
we're
Yeah,
all going to
yeah.
look completely stupid if it's going to be 4-0 either way, or four
Yeah.
each, or something ridiculous like that. But I don't know. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be. I think it'll be pretty decent, to be fair. Two wily managers,
Mm.
going toe to toe again. So I imagine Matt Robbins will still be slightly annoyed with that Coventry Wrexham game from a few years back. So I imagine he'll remind his players and management team of that, no doubt. But yeah, should be a good one. Lucas, thank you so much for coming on. It's been really informative, really interesting stuff. And yeah, Million Manhoff is a great name. You got some great names
God,
in your
cracking.
team. Yeah,
I think Thomas Rigo is a great name. He's also a great looking football as well. I mean, he's a handsome chap, but I mean more for he's got like Eminem bleached blonde hair. When he first arrived at the club, he was announced to all the fans, and he had this like baggy jeans on, oversized sweater. He looked like a 90s rapper. So
did he?
he's just
Amazing.
yeah. And I think he's my colleague at Radio Stoke, the Stoke City commentator, told me that I believe his partner is a professional roller skater.
Never. Right.
Wow.
I'm
So
having a look at this now.
you might want to
Thomas
check this. You
Rigo,
might want to just check.
Slovak
We're all
football.
Ryan's, George's, and Ollie's, weren't we, for a while? That was all our squad.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Maybe
think
once you get
that
to the Premier League, be a little bit more glamorous, maybe.
I don't think there was any edicts from the top that we had to have lots of Ryans, but no, just a coincidence.
No, yeah. Well, listen, I don't know what sort of power they have, but I feel like that would be a step too far from them. Trying to think of some other cool. I mean, Victor Johansson's a great. It's the proper Vikings name, isn't it, Victor Johansson? That's a great name as well. We are pretty inundated with it. Bosun Lawal. See, I could just keep listing off the play, like
True,
Junior
True
Shamadou.
Grant. True Grant. I keep
True
thinking of
Grant is a True Grant is a great name. Son of Lee Grant, for anyone that doesn't know.
Eric Bocant.
Yeah,
Bocat.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah, yeah,
His son of
yeah,
Lee Grant, is he? True Grant.
yeah.
Oh,
He
okay.
is. Yeah. He's son of True. He's son of former
Maxim
Talavirov. Yeah,
Talavirov.
said that a few
Um,
times now.
That name rings a bell, yeah.
Tatsuki Siko.
Seko. Yeah,
Stephen Nzonzi's there. Jesus Christ.
yeah. He's come back. Yeah. I forgot about he may or may not play. We don't really know what sort of sign that was for yet because he's nearly 40. He's obviously won a World Cup. He's played in Iran and Qatar and the likes, and he's just decided to come back for a season to play back at Stoke. He says it's because he feels he can still compete at this level. We'll wait and see. He's not featured yet because he's been delayed with his fitness, but yeah,
Connor Cody told us the same thing, and we're still waiting and seeing as well. Not,
yeah.
not quite, not quite panned out at the moment. You know what? He'll have the last laugh. Guarantee it. He'll be like, "I told you it was just one bad game." And it was a
Mm.
bad game. There you go. You live and die by these swords that Parky and Mark Robbins will put out. So yeah, happy days. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a delight. Anybody watching this, give us a like, a subscribe, a follow, all that jazz. If you're not attending the game, I'm sure Lucas, you'll be commentating, will you? BBC Radio
Uh,
Stoke.
Mark Elliott is our commentator. I present the build up to it, but you can have that on BBC
Ah,
Sounds. So I'll make sure
there
that
you
we
go.
give some Wrexham fans a shout out on the build up at 2 o'clock.
Do
Top man.
that. That'd be grand. And no Dennis Smith. Very. I miss Dennis. We need to get him back over this way. He even walks in like a boss. You know, we all know that leg
Oh,
of
I
his is
know.
absolutely knackered, but he just looks like he should be in The Sopranos.
He's just got
Like,
aura, and it's Dennis Smith aura.
unbelievable. 100%. Right, lovely. I think that'll do us. So until next time, thank you very much, everybody. Take it easy.
Cheers.